For the past few weeks I've been learning to use VCV Rack. I wanted to use it as an external effects processor for my Digitakt, but what I actually found was that it kind of extends the capabilities of the Digitakt in every single way. So I'm going to share a few different clips of different interesting ways that I found that the two can work together. In this first video, I'm using the Digitakt MIDI tracks to control VCV Rack's FX processors. My god, that's really hard to say fast. Anyway, I've got this loop. It's just something I played with my Hydrosynth. But it's good enough as an example. I know this looks confusing, but I tried to organize it as best as I can. I've got little blue boxes with text in to help highlight what things are. So I've got my audio in, that's coming from my Digitakt. I've got this huge mixing desk thingy. I've got some utilities, we don't really need to pay attention to them. I've got the Digitakt left and right going into the mixing desk where I've got lots of send effects. And then I've got the audio going out to my mixing desk. You can see I've got 4 tracks of effects available, and these are just the sends and returns. So I've got effects 1, which is a stereo phaser, effect 2, which is a reverb, and then effect 3 is EQ followed by chorus, and then effect 4 is kind of a granular reverb thingy. This takes CC events from a particular MIDI channel in the Digitakt and converts it into a CV value that can control one of these lovely modules on screen. So over in my Digitakt, I'll just go to MIDI track 1, and then I activate the first 4 rotary encoders on the filter channel. I'll use MIDI learn on VCV Rack to connect the two together. That's 3 and 4. And then if I start playing my loop, the first encoder, I can fade in the phaser. This is a lovely reverb, by the way. And then the EQ and chorus. Nice. And then finally the granular reverb kind of thingy. Let's make it bigger somehow. Around with the controls. I'm still not too sure about how to use this module, but it sounds nice, so whatever. And it has a lovely fade out, check that out. One of the coolest things about VCV Rack, besides the fact that it's free, and it comes with thousands of free modules that you can absolutely get lost in, it's actually really easy to just connect some modules and sketch up some crazy sounds. You're basically patching cables. So let's try this reverb out. This is by Surge. If you are aware of the Surge VST, it's a really nice VST. And all of the effects come free as separate modules. Let's make this bigger. No, bigger, bigger. That's it. Check that out. Lovely jubbly. Anyway, let's put this one back. transform that loop. I love it. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. Random in VCV Rack is pretty fun, so I got some samples here. Just generic drum samples. And a synth sample with a lot of delay. And I have a simple kick snare pattern set up. Just like this. Now what I'm going to do in VCV Rack is I'm going to use it to randomly trigger the percussion and also the synth sample in a specific key. You can see here I've got two drum sections set up, drums 1 and drum 2 and synth. So I've got two variations of randomizing percussion to show you. And this thing up here is just my mixing desk. So I'll play the pattern and I'll activate this patch here. Here I'm using the Digitakt as the clock source and VCV Rack is triggering the samples in time. I have two triggers for the hi-hats and that's because I'm using a burst module to trigger a quick fill. Just like that, yeah. And obviously you can use the dials on the patch to control the probability of each percussion sound being hit. The single hi-hat hit you can see is the most probable. Let's load in the synth then. So what's happening here is I'm using a sample and hold that goes through a quantizer. And it's just telling the Digitakt to play the synth sound. I can control the octave. Just like that. Now I'll disable this and show you the other method. This is much simpler. This one is just controlling the hi-hats. But it's constantly generating a random hi-hat pattern, and if I like it I can turn the dial at the top to lock in the pattern. So this one will keep repeating, and the closer I bring it to center, the more random it becomes. I can obviously change the timing from the clock source to slow down or speed up the synth. Oh, that was nice. You can do the same in the hi-hats, make them faster. Faster too. Nice. So you can have a lot of fun with this random stuff. Just fade out the synth. Very good. Very fun. This one was a lot of fun to do. In this one I was trying to see if I can recreate the Octatrack's live looping features. And I feel like I got pretty successful with it. So I have this loop set up. Some nice piano and drums. And together they sound like this. Yep. And over in VCV Rack, I've got this whole crazy setup here. I'm using this thing called Simpliciter, which can do recording, looping. It can rewind things, slow them down, all that kind of good stuff. I'm controlling the wet-dry mix of simpliciter with this MIDI knob here. On the way to the left is the simpliciter, to the right is the Digitakt. And anything in between is a blend of the two. I've got VCV Rack set up so I can send the trigger from the Digitakt, and that will start and then stop the recording automatically. Everything is synced up to the Digitakt's BPM, which is cool. So I set a track at the first trig, and then what happens is the Digitakt will fire an event on here. The event will tell simpliciter to start recording, and then 8 bars later it will tell it to stop recording. And then it will reset simpliciter every 8 bars so that simpliciter and the Digitakt are like playing back, locked in sync with each other. Once I press play, I'll remove the trig. That stops simpliciter from re-recording every 8 bars. Cool, so simpliciter is playing along and it's playing its loop. I can use the wet-dry mix to show you that. Check this out. Yeah, and there I'm blending from VCV Rack simpliciter over to Digitakt audio. So I can do stuff with the Digitakt while the simpliciter is looping my recorded loop. And I can re-record that loop anytime just by adding the trigger back in. And back to this mute thing that I've got here. This will prevent the simpliciter from resetting, which means if I slow down the simpliciter can then continue to loop on beyond the 8 bars that it's locked into. And if I then unmute it, it will come back into sync. Let's see. So you can see I'm recording simpliciter, the time is going up. There's my loop. If I slow it down, you'll see that it jumps back in time with the Digitakt, but not in time with the loop. So if I then mute that trigger, you can see it loops around correctly. There are different ways of looping simpliciter. I haven't actually read the manual yet. Let me try and find it. There's a way to crossfade between the end and the start of the loop. I don't know why this doesn't happen automatically. I think that's the one. Yeah, let's slow that down. Seamless. There we go, no clicks. A nice thing is when you record loops, you also record the automation that you do. As an example, I'll play with the sample rate reduction. Cool, so at the moment the Digitakt is looping, we can hear our automation. Amazing! It's like having an Octatrack without having an Octatrack. Nice. Lots and lots of fun. This time I'm controlling the synth that I made on VCV Rack from the Digitakt. I've got these drums. Nice. I've got a simple drum groove. Very, very simple. I've got my MIDI channel set to channel 1 as usual. And on VCV Rack I have this synth that I put together, which is listening to the Digitakt. It sounds like this. I can change the octaves up of all of these oscillators. you get the idea. I've also got some effects set up, reverb and delay, both of which I can control from the Digitakt, and also this rotary speaker I can also control from the Digitakt. I'm just using MIDI CC like I showed you earlier. Let me show you the rotary speaker. Nice. And it's rotating in time with the Digitakt as well, which is the cool thing. It's locked in sync, same with the delay. That's the reverb. There's the delay. We can play with the feedback. Wow. A cool thing with this delay is you can hold the reverb. So I can do something like this. Let's wait for it to fade. There we go. And now I can perform over the top. Yeah. Ah, lovely. That's lovely. And fade out. Amazing. Isn't that fun? I can do that all day. Yeah. And finally, I want to show you Multitrack FX processing from the Digitakt. So I have these tracks here, tracks 1, 2 and 3. The loop sounds like this. Could do with a bit of a mix. We'll do that in VCV Rack. So you can see in VCV Rack, I am loading the Digitakt Overbridge VST. Takes a while to come up, but it lets me take separate outputs for all of my tracks in the Digitakt. I should point out that this VST host module is not free. I had to pay less than 20 quid for it in the Black Friday sale kind of thingy. But it's totally worth it because it lets me use each separate track from the Digitakt, pass them through a series of different effects and into a mixing desk to have a lot of fun with. So this is the full loop. You can already tell it sounds different to the main Digitakt outs. I'm also controlling a bunch of these effects via the MIDI CC to CV thingy. So let's listen to the tracks separately. First the drums. I'm running that into a compressor and then that is cross-faded into a distortion module. That's what you're hearing. And there's also a chorus. Nice. cool thing is you can use the two at the same time. Next up is the keys. That's going into a phaser and an EQ. Yeah. Ooh. I don't know why I spent such a long amount of time on this. It's fun though. Yeah, check that out. And then I've got guitar here. And that's going through something called Neuron and M-Verb. Check out that reverb, huge. I've also got the audio for the guitar going through an envelope follower, which is controlling the volume of some noise. And there's the noise. Really gives it character because as the guitar plucks, the noise comes in, and when the guitar fades out, so does the noise. This kind of trick is also especially useful for drums. I just felt like putting it on the guitar. And the white noise, the envelope follower, comes before the reverb, so the reverb doesn't affect the envelope follower. That's a lovely reverb. And then I can do a nice little performance like this. Nice. Lovely. So there you have it, just a few ideas on how you can combine your Digitakt with the VCV Rack. Just listen to that reverb, it's still going, even though everything else has stopped. Amazing. I'm kind of feeling like the possibilities really are endless with this. I still have so many encoders and 7 other MIDI channels to do crazy things with. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it or you learned something, then please feel free to do the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Take care. Love you. Bye.